post a while ago about why I fucking hate books. Because this is what it does. It appeals to like the male fantasy.
Oh no, we got to turn the mic on again.
Hi!
Yeah, 2 out of 4. Damn it. Welcome to the Spoilers Book Club. We got it, Jenny, but thank you. So this is episode 4, and also the fourth final installment of our read of Altered Carbon. And we're excited. This was fun. We're at the end. Lots of cool stuff happening. Things wrapping up. And we also decided what our next book is going to be. We're going to be reading Jack of Shadows by Roger Zelazny. I don't have a visual for this yet. We just have the actual book. Boom, there it is.
Nice.
So there are modern copies of it as well. This one is
on audiobook and
copyright 1971.
she likes to share it.
The shirt is bananas. B-A-N-A-N-A-S. The Jack of Shadows. Did you find it on audiobook already? You checked for it? I don't know.
You know what? Actually,
may or may not be easily findable on audiobook.
Let me look right now.
We will hit that a week from today. It's a quick, easy read. Very fun. I've read it many, many times. It's one of my favorite standalone novels from Roger Zelazny.
Yes, it is on audiobook.
Perfect. So we got our bases covered. If you can't get a paper copy, an ebook, you can do the audiobook if you don't have time to sit and read. So if you drive long distances like I do, it makes it nice to have audiobooks as an option as well. So we're all good there. It's sort of a unknown classic, but I think you'll all really enjoy that. Look, yep, Jenny Toll says that it is on Audible, so we have double confirmation there. That's great. Like, include everybody who can on these wacky adventures. So let's jump into Altered Carbon.
We're here.
We're picking up chapter 35. So when we left,
jumping into it
in the last episode, we left off at 34. So Kovash had given himself up in exchange for Ortega because Cadman had kidnapped her.
Yeah.
Right? And then he got in the car.
No, what's going to happen to Kovac?
Right. So 35, he's actually in the car. And we have some
he wakes
description of the people in the car.
And then he wakes up and
they hit him with the stunner. Because out when he wakes up, he's got a weird face all up in his face. And it's Carnage.
And he's in a gray gi.
So if he sees
like
Carnage, he knows that he's in the Panama Rose.
Fighting pajamas.
The only kind of pajamas that I wear.
Truth be told. Yeah. So he's like, oh, whoa. And the Carnage is up in his face. And he's like,
creepy,
you gotta fight the
face.
Patchwork Man. So, and he's like, oh, Raylene Kalahara put him up to this.
Yeah, he figures that Raylene kind of gave him up
Her.
because nobody else would have known quite the details to do that. She wants him off the board for whatever reason, and Cadman is
She's
happy to
like,
kill him because he was already trying to do that anyway.
Cardi.
I do like how Kovash is, at least internally, often on referring to Cadman as the Patchwork Man. It's
Mhm.
really keeping it's like he's become this boogeyman from his
Yeah.
childhood.
Ooh.
Yeah. So let's jump
So yeah, they're like,
36.
we're gonna broadcast this as a humiliation fight.
Yes, the
We're gonna
humiliation
broadcast
bout.
it, even though we don't normally broadcast things, but this is different. We're gonna have fun with you in your
Yeah.
fight.
People really don't like well, might be obvious, but point out that it's not fighting as Kovash. It's put on as Riker.
Oh,
A
yeah.
humiliation bout against Riker, because that's the sleeve that he's in.
Yeah. So he's a year raker.
Yeah, so Cadman, he's in what did they call those sleeves from Sharia? Hand of God.
Oh
So,
yes,
yeah.
it was called.
So he's in his heavy duty biomech sleeve.
Yeah,
And
God gear, the hand of God. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and
But still, they give power knuckles to in the ring for him to fight.
Mm-hmm.
So find that telling. Kovac is coming out of being hit with a stunner. He's disoriented. This is not part of his plan. Cadman knows that this fight's coming, and he still decides like, yeah, I need some shock knuckles to make sure that I can beat this envoy. And he doesn't kick my ass again.
Yeah.
In some tricky
So
way.
he's like, I can figure out the patterns of how he's fighting, and I think I can beat this guy. But it's pretty terrible fight. It's pretty like not terrible. It's a good fight.
It goes really bad
They
for
go
Kovac,
back and forth,
even though
but a lot of bad
they do it
at
in
first.
rounds to make it more entertaining for the audience. Kovac is still mostly getting his ass handed to him. He's kind of surviving, trying to keep back on that.
Barely surviving, and then of course.
But I find it notable like how Cadman has such a grudge against Kovac, whereas Trep, Kovac like directly killed her, whereas more like the hotel killed Cadman because he was dumb. But she doesn't have a grudge, and Cadman like really has it out for him.
Cadman just,
but I wonder if it's just because the way like he also killed the other he killed the other Cadman because he was double sleeved and that's why he's taking it more personally, or is it just because like Trep doesn't remember, or she just has a totally different personality? Like she knows that Kovac killed her in another sleeve before a backup, but she really wants to be more buddy with him than anything.
Yeah. So they fight. Obviously, Kovac gets through it. Well, it doesn't win because the Trep and the police blow holes through him.
He's knocked out. He's hallucinating Jimmy
Kovac
again.
RDs him.
And then he comes to just enough to see the shell from Trep's rifle like explode his chest.
Yeah, and Trep's like,
pretty impressive.
We're good friends now, so
yeah,
I'll do this thing for you. I don't even know how she just showed up.
Trep seems to be wielding a pretty sweet weapon that we don't get much detail on.
Yeah.
Just call it like a frag rifle.
Yeah.
Like that sounds pretty
intense.
Pretty nasty. So she puts down Cadman.
And the police.
Batista is also there.
Yeah.
With Trep. He has the like a blaster sunjet particle gun thing. And he torches Carnage, and I like the description is awesome. So this looked like a
Mm,
figure
microwave.
made of melting wax.
Yeah, like a microwave.
Yes. Because there's, Carnage is in no way a sympathetic figure. Even in the physical manifestation, they just make him somewhat repulsive.
Mm.
And then he seems like, slimy in all the different ways.
Yeah.
And so it sounds like a very satisfying way to see him taken out. So Cadman's down. Somebody hands its Kovac a gun. And he's kind of, still struggling with this monster from his childhood psychologically a little bit. And also there's a, time with issues with his father. It's just like sort of hesitating. And I think Batista was the one that said, like, just do it or whatever. That's at the end of the chapter, it says, feeling nothing, I pulled the trigger. And it's just like a flat, clear end to the chapter. Is pretty solid.
And then chapter 37, back to Reese leaving facility with Ortega.
Well, so they're still at the Panama Rose. They're still at the Panama Rose, I believe.
Okay, so maybe I skipped a little bit.
Yeah. So just the description of the space maybe is a little, because he doesn't directly say, so our characters are still at the Panama Rose. He starts to describe they're sitting there in a forklift and they're really kind of in shock of the situation and gathering the thoughts and whatever. I have a page number written down, so there's probably a reason for that. But it seems like maybe they're having a bit of a cathartic moment.
Yeah, they're at the or with Ortega saying the last goodbye. Is that what I?
Here's definitely what I brought this up for. So jumping in, they're sitting there, and he's talking to Ortega. So the death of Cadman, far from relieving me, had only touched off a slow-burning fuse of destructive urges in the pit of my stomach. Someone was going to pay for all of this. Like personal. Personals in italics. These throwback to some of Quell's writings. It's like, it's nothing personal. No, it's very personal. Make it personal. But I like this whole paragraph following here. So just thoughts in Kovach's head. But this was worse than personal. This was about Louise, alias an enemy, cut up on a surgical platter. About Elizabeth Elliot, stabbed to death and too poor to be re-sleeved. Irene Elliot, weeping for a body that a corporate rep wore in alternating months. Victor Elliot, whiplashed between loss and retrieval of someone who was and yet was not the same woman. This was about a young black man facing his family in a broken down middle-aged white body. It was about Virginia Vidara, walking disdainfully into storage with her head held high and a last cigarette polluting lungs she was about to lose. No doubt to some other corporate vampire. It was about Jimmy DeSoto, clawing his own eye out in the mud and fire at NNN, and the millions like him throughout the protectorate, painfully gathered assemblages of individual human potential, pissed away into the dung heap of history. For all these and more, someone was going to pay. I really like that. Oh, I'm getting chills right now. But yeah, it's kind of like a quick review of all the pain and suffering. I'm like, oh, we're gonna fucking get him. And so much of it doesn't make sense. I mean, he could just walk away with his pay, disappear, go back to Harlan's world or whatever. He's like, nope, we're gonna fuck some shit up. Fantastic. Where did this come in? Who said this line that I highlighted? It doesn't matter. I think I just liked the phrasing. Less noisy than a Catholic orgasm.
Oh,
I had heard that one.
I thought that was Ortega.
Could be.
Was saying that.
Yeah. But they're sitting there. They're in the sleeving lab on the Panama Rose. And Kovash, he's already has this thought he wants to go after Raylene and Head in the Clouds. And the final piece of the puzzle of his plan, like, falls into place in his mind as he's sitting in that re-sleeving lab. And so he tells Ortega that he's gonna do it, not the details. Like, oh, I'm gonna hit it. She's kind of pushes back a bit. And he says, though, he asks her, like, do you really want Riker back? Which pisses her off. She's kind of touchy. I think she has some issues.
Yeah.
And then later from was fine. Irene Elliott gets brought in to wipe some of the records because Kovac has been like strategizing with the cops. I'm not sure if I'm jumping ahead to like, how do we cover up this, mini massacre that we kind of did?
Irene Elliott will help us.
She'll delete it.
Great.
She'll delete it. It's
she
fine.
Got this. She's great. We got this.
And she, in exchange for that, she definitely still wants her body.
Irene
That's what she's up for.
A little bit of a superstar in my mind. She's just like, I got this. I'll just take care of this digitally. We're good.
Yeah. And Irene also lets Kovac know that she's going to disappear for a bit.
She's like, I'm out of here. You're not going to get a hold of me.
Need some alone time.
That's it.
So do it, but
unreachable.
Yeah.
So chapter 38.
38. So we find out what that final piece of the puzzle was for the plan to hit Head in the Clouds.
Oh, some of the piece, yeah.
He's going to double sleeve.
Double sleeve. So they have an interesting conversation.
So
together.
The double sleeving is different than the show, because in the show they have access to that cloning machine that Lawrence Bancroft's son used to like, which maybe I sort of understand it. Maybe it's easier to tell the story like that, but it makes more sense here. He's just sitting in the Panama Rose and like, we got bunch of bodies lying around, so I'll just double sleeve into one of those. So he takes this great like tech ninja
sleeve he was looking at before.
Tech ninja sleeve, which he's like, piloted in the past, but this is like one of the most up-to-date ones that they can get a hold of.
Very advanced.
Was it the Carnage that was mentioning something about they were trying to have an embargo maybe to keep it only in Protectorate hands, that technology from the Kumalo,
because it was so advanced.
So he's got a sweet and combat sleeve. At least one copy of him does. And ends up, so part of the misdirect is that he needs the sleeve that looks like Riker, the copy of him that's in the sleeve, the Riker sleeve, to go have some fun with Miriam Bancroft, and the other one is going to actually go up to Head in the Clouds. But they have a great discussion. I think it's one of the longer dialogues in the book.
They're like, I'm trying to decide who'll keep the fighter sleeve. And whoever has the best memories, they're like, well, maybe we'll just do or maybe we'll do rock, paper, stone.
Who's gonna get deleted, because both copies probably aren't going to be able to make it out of this.
They use stones and rock. But it's
rock, paper, scissors. To the point where the Riker copy says something like, you might just get killed too, so then I'll solve this whole problem.
So that'll be easy.
Yeah. But I like that discussion between
and then
both
Irene
sides of them.
Elliott will save us. She'll do a patch. We'll be good.
They're talking about splicing together.
And then he's like remembering the patchwork man. Like, oh yeah. I had a lot of work done.
But it's sort of fun too. Did you ever have like discussions or arguments with yourself in your head? Kovac is having that, but there's actually two copies of him, and in physical bodies, and they're arguing about it and drinking. So
that's kind of a fun scene. And then
what else we have in 38?
And then he meets up with Ortega, and he's like, "Oh, I'm not really feeling as attracted to her as I was in the Riker sleeve with all the like."
So you're
hormones.
into 39 now?
I thought that was in 38, but anyways, Yeah. So maybe that's 39.
Ortega and Kovac go to where Irene Elliott is at and what they're calling a grifter town. Sort of like a hacker thief. I don't know.
DC.
Not really a town as much as like a like a
Aladdin's
shanty town maybe. Shanty town kind of place. Have a minor character introduced that's pretty neat though is we call like camp security.
Mm-hmm.
Right there is another like over 2 meter tall freak fight sleeve dude with red eyes and horns.
Yeah.
But he's carrying around a little kid.
Yeah, I was
So it really like
confused. I'm
softens him.
Where,
But
they're like a train depot or something?
I don't remember what the
It
setting
sounded
was
like they were
for
in a
all
train
of
depot
that,
with
but
children and the horn guy.
but yeah, it's like a full little shanty town, so they have little kids too, and
Yeah.
but then there's
Horn man picking up children.
where the big
And I was like,
guy
is this a
walks
call,
away
or
and
is
the
this
little
a...
kids follow him, and
Yeah.
it's interesting.
"What?"
But they go talk to Irene, who still just reiterates she's wanting to get her sleeve back out of this whole ordeal.
She was like, I need
And
that.
Ortega's like, yeah, we do a retroactive federal something. And like, we can definitely
We'll get your
get
body
that
back.
back.
And if you're helping us break into the head in the clouds, and we're gonna wire Riker with a wire tap,
Well, like,
basically.
it's
right?
described how they're explaining the story or the plan to Irene, and she only interrupts for like some technical details, and then at the conclusion of like the dissemination of the plan, she just tells Kovac, "You're insane."
You're insane, but okay.
Yeah, and he has to get a recording implant put in because the plan is going to have, get this documentation.
Yeah, so they surgically just
confession from.
put that in.
Yeah, so get that done because the shantytown is a one-stop shop for all of that. There's a cute scene.
And they're talking about how like the building is like body heat sensitive.
Yeah.
The whole head in
Because
the clouds is
Irene finds the
whole
blueprints
ship.
and gets more details about Head in
Yeah.
the Clouds. And he already had some clues from Miller that it was that there was like body heat tracking and stuff as part of the security up there.
smart. Yeah.
But she has the blueprints and they get more details on that. I think a bit before they make it to that part, there's a cute scene where like they're in this town for a few days.
Mhm.
It sounds like getting stuff done and letting Irene do her thing, and Kovac getting the implant in his eye. But he ends up playing like skipping rocks with a little girl out at the shore.
Yeah.
And
you're like, huh.
there's a spot where there's like comparing how well it goes, or she's saying like his rocks are too big, and the little girl says, it's like, yeah, but you're wired for it. I'm only 6. And just a nice spot of like, oh, there's a little bit of innocence in this twisted cyberpunk world.
Yeah.
And it's what he's wired for
I
is
understand, but
espionage and killing people in the sleeve that he's in. But the little girl is like, you're wired for throwing rocks.
Thinking and rock throwing.
Skipping rocks. It's cute.
That's cute. Yeah, and he has so they're like, oh, you're gonna have this heat signature tag,
Right.
and the guests get them whenever they
Mhm.
come. We're gonna get drugs from dealer.
We have the
bust
clue of
with
how
Ortega.
we have the clue of how they might handle the body temperature sensors from the flashbacks to Jimmy DeSoto when they were on drugs and putting explosive on a spider tank legs and stuff and blowing shit up. And so Kovac is going with the same tactic there. He's going to go get what do they call it in there, beta thanatine or stiff.
Yes, benathanatine. You
I
have
get
a
it
very good
confused.
memory.
But the street names, the imaginary street names of the imaginary drugs, I'm
They're
not
gonna
as
get
confident
some,
with. It
and they're
might-
gonna beat up a dealer
Might have also been
to
called
get
stiff.
some.
But for some reason, Ortega like blows up when Kovac sort of suggests that maybe they get the drug he
Like,
needs
that's
out of
my sleeve
lockup.
you're messing with.
Well, he wants it out of lockup.
Yeah.
Initially, like, the police confiscate the stuff, should be easy to get it.
Oh,
But that was some line that she
yeah.
didn't want to cross. I'm like, okay, fine, you want to go confiscate some more?
Yeah, let's go.
And for
get
that,
some.
she's like all about it
She's like,
because
"Ah."
she's kind of a weird thug person and she likes to beat on people. But they'll find like the horror box guy,
Yeah.
but the stuff he has is so diluted, they like lean on him and I guess find out
He's like
what
a
his
dealer.
supplier was, and then
And then they get the higher, better.
it's just
stuff.
suggested that they go get it.
Yeah.
But the author, I think, makes a good choice and doesn't bother to include actually like
The whole thing.
telling that directly.
Yeah.
So it's good. It's like it's enough that
Just
we
get
know it
the
happened
address.
so
We're
off
good.
screen, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
They go get some drugs.
Chapter 40.
40.
So they're in the police car,
Okay.
and then he starts taking these drugs from Ortega.
Yeah, she's helping dose him with the dermal
She's like,
versions of it all.
yeah.
So
She's like, let me help you take these drugs. And then she gives him a tracker.
yeah, injects a tracker
And
like,
I like
into
that.
his neck, which is important
Yeah.
for later on.
And I like the saying that he's like, it's like being submerged in diamonds.
Oh, the feelings that he's getting from the drugs he's
Yeah,
taking.
he just.
Because it's
yeah,
lowering his
that's a
body
good
temperature.
description.
It's like muting his emotions and like slowing his heart rate and all those things. So it sort of makes it
Yeah.
hard to function in
Mhm.
some ways, but also just
Just
I don't know.
protected, like in a bubble.
Also imagine it's like
but a
sloth-
diamond bubble.
sloth mode. Like I'm gonna get you. But he knows how to function on it. Experienced in functioning on it. And so he's already there. The cops are flying their transport up towards Head in the Clouds, and the pretense of like why they need land and talk to Raylene
Yeah.
is like, oh, Kovac is a fugitive and you might have information on him, so that's what we're looking. That's why you need
Yeah,
to let us
and he's
land.
like, I figured out a way to get Raylene to let them in.
Yeah, so when that gets them close, and then he gets shot out of it like a torpedo tube, which is pretty sweet. He has a grab harness like Trep was using earlier, and then goes in through some weird old hatch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So pretty cool.
And then
Action's
Raylene's
going
like,
on.
I can't resist talking to Ortega about her boyfriend's sleeves.
Oh.
Because she's like, under the pretense that, like, oh, my boyfriend's sleeve is missing.
Oh my god.
Help me. Help me. I need to know where he's at.
And
But
Raylene-
in a more policey, tough way.
in a policey.
Yeah. And
is
then-
Kovac just gains entrance and he's working his way through Head in the Clouds. We have a description of the carpet. So it's a very kinky carpet. Do you remember this?
Mm-mm.
No, the decor sounds like if
Tacky.
Trump designed a porno kind of thing. It sounds terrible, but also funny. The phrasing I have written down here is describes the carpet. The scenes on the carpet is an unbroken progression of plugged orifices and splayed limbs. Yeah, so there's just a weird decor all around. But
Just like,
then
interesting.
his skulking leads to I don't know, like was terrible things,
Ugh.
like scenes in the story.
All the noises first, and then like, yeah,
The hurt dog.
yeah,
Yeah, really
Oh.
bad. And he,
so sad.
yeah,
So he's like, I'm gonna
terrible.
get that guy who hurt that dog.
So yeah, even through the
I don't
muted
care.
emotions of
I
the
have other
drugs and
stuff to-
everything,
The dog
and everything
gets
else
it,
that he's
and
supposed to be
like,
there for,
"Oh."
he does stop to find the guy, kill him, and he also ends up like putting the dog out of his misery.
Yeah,
It's like,
just like, you know what?
for someone who loves dogs, it's very terrible. Do I have my numbers wrong, or did I renote?
Chapter 41.
I have 41 down twice, but
Oh,
that can't be right.
double notes. He's double sleeving the notes.
You're double sleeving the notes. That's a UN offense.
I won't tell if you won't tell.
But he ends up getting his opportunity to confront Raylene.
Yes.
He's working on getting him to confess. And I'm reading through all this, and we already kind of knew that she was working like blackmail angles with some of the services, like tacked onto some of the services that she's providing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like,
I want a confession.
Raylene is Diddy.
Did he?
Yeah.
Did he?
There's all the news of the freak off sex things recorded. Diddy. Yeah, yeah.
He's like remembering the ad.
like,
oh my gosh, that ad.
no, like Sean
that
Puffy
right?
Combs and his arrest for all of
Oh
the.
my gosh.
Okay, oh, you didn't catch that part of the news. He's under arrest. Everything's going down. All these people that he drugged, and there were unconsensual sex acts and people that are probably blackmailed and all of that as part of his music empire.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not nearly as funny when I have to explain it.
Yeah, sorry.
She's got a similar grift to Diddy.
Manipulation matrix. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Yes.
Diddy had a manipulation matrix.
Yes. He wants a
Also
confession.
involved a lot of
about
drugs and
bankrupt.
bad things that people wanted to hide that
Yeah,
they did.
drugs and sex. It seems like they don't mix too well.
Yeah. So back to the actual story. Raylene.
I want a confession.
Yeah, part of what the
Give
confession
me
that he's getting,
confession.
even he gets the sort of how Riker was framed, because he was following the Mary Lou Hinchley death,
Mm-hmm.
and her not being able to be spun up because she was allegedly Catholic, and Riker thought there was foul play in her death, and for some reason he couldn't be bought off in this situation, though he seemed to be up for sale possibly in other situations. He's not really a great cop. So odd detail to find that Raylene was Marco playing tennis back on the.
And then the girl, what's her name? She jumped off the
Mary Lou
ship.
Hinchley.
Mary Lou
Yeah,
Hinchley.
potentially
She like
jumped to kill herself, or
she like probably
fell
just
accidentally.
fell
Yeah.
accidentally. And then she's also saying like the Y clinic was personal. Like
Mhm.
yeah. That was to get
Why did you
Becky.
make that mess and everything?
Yeah.
But
And she was
there's
like,
spot-
humanity has no value.
yeah,
She was just
real
like,
human flesh is
she was
cheaper
like,
than a machine. So
it's
it like
better
doesn't
just-
matter.
It doesn't really matter.
It's like cheaper to get the actual physical prostitutes than to run the things in virtual for those people. But it's just all
Mhm.
about what she gets out at the end of it.
Yeah, she
So
doesn't
it
care
really-
about you or anybody.
No.
It's just all about business.
So it's kind of, extra twisted meth. It's not really that surprising.
Yeah.
There's a, let's see, where was this?
And that he strangled a woman who looked like his wife
Who?
to death, Bancroft.
So that leading to like why then Bancroft ended up killing himself was to forget about that.
Yeah.
So
So he really did, but kill off himself. But
he did off himself, but sort of maybe thinking, like jumping into the thought experiment side of it, or the copy of him that's around didn't do those things, right? The
Mhm.
Bancroft that Kovacs has been dealing with didn't strangle a woman to death that looked like Miriam Bancroft, at least not recently.
Yeah.
maybe before is not part of the story. Not enough that he felt guilty to then, take his head off with a Sunjet,
Mm-hmm.
because that copy never got backed up, and also that body is gone. So that
Mm-hmm.
the actual Bancroft that Kovacs is dealing with really didn't do those things.
Mm-hmm. That's
But
true.
you consider, definitely it's more strongly pursued, maybe in the show, that like the authorities were coming after him,
Mm-hmm.
but he didn't do it
Yeah.
like in a very realistic way.
The other
So it ends up being
person that
more
looked
like
him.
it's like Minority Report except retroactively. Although the copy that's around now is the older copy.
Mm.
Yeah, it's confusing, but I think there's a case to be made. Like, it was a horrible person that would do those things, but he hadn't yet. So how can you prosecute him for it?
Yeah. So they get a little tiff, a little fight, and Trep is like, and then Trep comes up as backup,
Yeah, so
and
there's
she's
the
like, I don't
Trip hits
want.
Kovacs with stunner. She doesn't know that's Kovacs because, remember, he's not in the Riker sleeve anymore. He's in
Yeah,
that
she's
Tech
like,
Ninja
who
sleeve.
is that?
Yeah, and he's talking to
And then
Raylene.
Oh, it's Kovac.
Yeah, and
Raylene.
she's supposed to call security. Like, Raylene tells her to call security and get him down there.
And she's just like, not
And she doesn't
following
actually
commands.
call.
Yeah.
And
she's
Raylene
like,
stepped out to like find some pliers to take the recorder out of his head.
And she's like, you
The
could have
Raylene
power.
Yeah,
You coulda
Raylene
had all the
realizes
things."
that she was kind of betrayed by Trep, and then she shoots Trep.
Yeah. Poor
And we
Trep.
have, this epic fight, Kovac and Raylene.
Mm-hmm. And
Kovac
she's
is like
fighting him
kind
with
of
the pliers.
fucked up with because he had been hit with the stunner.
Yeah. So
But he
was
never totally went out
of it.
like normally would, just maybe because the Kumalo Tech Ninja sleeve.
Yeah,
which is
'cause it
that
was
good.
pain sleeve.
Yeah.
So he's like barely twitching, and then he's like kind of twitches more and more and more and more till I.
Yeah. So
And
it's
then
a
she
rough
just stabs
fight.
him in the eye and rips it out with
It's
the
just, like,
plier.
Stabbing more. Yeah, so
And then-
he loses an eye. He's gone Jimmy.
Yeah.
But I
That's
really
exactly what
I really
thought
love how
of.
it finishes up, like how the
And they
fight
break the window.
finishes.
Uh-huh.
So
Micro.
we didn't
grenade.
talk about the weaponry that he went up into Head in the
Yeah.
Clouds with.
It's just like, oh,
So
surprise!
he's got he has that Tebbit knife.
Like you're
the one with the
watching
poison on it.
cartoons and like a bomb just shows up out of
Oh.
nowhere.
He has a knife. He has a shard gun like Sarah's style with spider venom in it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which he ends up he used it on the guy that hurt the dog and the dog, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, he knifed the dog.
Yeah, I think it was more like a.
But anyway, for the later the shard gun doesn't he
Works
loses
to
it
kill.
after he got stunned. But what was the other weapon that he had left on him? He had those explosive discs.
Oh, they're
Yeah.
micro grenades.
Yeah, the micro
Yeah.
grenades.
Yeah.
So this is where the ending is pretty fucking cool. They're on the glass, and he pulls close guard on Raylene.
Yeah, that's
right?
true, he does.
He blows the glass. They're falling. He's blown a hole in his hand. The shape charge is not
Legs
perfect.
wrapped around you. You're not going
Yep.
nowhere. You don't know how to get out of guard.
But they're falling through the air because the Head in the Clouds is that hovering airship thing. He puts one of the other grenades to her head, just like holds it to the chest, and boom, goes off again. She's done and totally.
And he does the same to
Definitely
his
kills a
sweet
stack.
sleeve.
Hmm?
Then he
What-
does the same to his
yeah,
sweet
the
sleeve.
sleeve gets taken out, but he has the tracker in, so they find him
Yeah.
and they can get his
Goes to
sleeve.
his sleeve, the sweet sleeve.
But you just changed all my clothes. It's all right. It's not a big deal.
So
Wait,
chapter 42.
almost there.
Oh wait.
But we're
No,
missing.
you're right.
You're missing sweet lines that we need to look at.
And then he was like, I'm just hoping Davidson was watching the screen, the driver. Oh, just going down.
That
and
is
hopefully
funny.
he's watching it.
But I'm not thinking about the funny line so much.
What's
It's
that?
like how to die. So tell them still angry. This is back again to the Quellist quotes. Like "Ah." We're at 42.
42.
Somehow we got to 42. I think maybe I skipped 40 on the numbering and I had two 41s.
Mystery notes.
Tell us about chapter 42. I'll throw in a couple things maybe.
So he's back alive in the Riker sleeve. Boop. Here I am.
Yeah.
Talking to Cheryl. And you're just like, what? Who's
Right.
Cheryl? What's happening? And about some sort of chemical that she put in the bankrupt sleeve. But first he shows up at the door and the kid's like, what do you want? And he's like, oh, I want to talk to your mom. And then he goes and gets the mom reluctantly. And then it's Cheryl who's in a, what do they call those sleeves?
I think a synth. Wasn't she in a synth sleeve?
Yeah, she was in a synth sleeve. And he's like,
That's
I
when
know
I
you
worked
put a
at
chemical into the Bancroft sleeve when he
Yeah.
was in the
She worked at Psychosec.
Psychosec.
Or does work at Psychosec.
Yeah, so you're like, oh, that's a new part I haven't heard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he's like, man, I know you did this. I think I can get your real body back. I'm gonna go talk to Miriam.
Yeah.
So
So
he does
talking
that.
to Miriam, greeted by Curtis at the Bancroft residence.
Curtis,
right?
the
Curtis
loving,
is
protective,
dumb.
like
Curtis is fucking dumb.
he's like a little chihuahua. No play. I'm gonna bark at you. I'm 2 feet tall.
So does he get knocked around again?
Yeah. He's like, do you know Curtis is working for Kalahara?
Yeah, double agent.
Oh, well,
so-
that's after he started talking to Miriam, but yeah, he's just like, go get her.
So Curtis.
Go get her, child.
So the figures like Curtis took him sort of to the hotel where Cadman found him really fast. So it was follows the logic and it was like he's working for Kalahara.
Yeah, like, how did you get here so quick? So he kind of puts that together.
Yeah.
And then he's like, okay, Miriam, I know you bribed that woman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I know you bribed her.
What was she bribed with?
I can't
You don't remember.
remember.
The sexy multi-sleeving island.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then so she's sort of in rough shape, like back in the
Oh, she can
bad,
wear the
thin-
Miriam sleeve and feel like Miriam for a time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
really,
I do remember.
really
I did
fucking
have that in my
depressing
notes.
actually. But the gotta
It's like
consider
you gotta have all that OG goo and
it comes out. So Curtis recognizes him. Miriam recognizes him because
Boom
it's a
cut.
Riker sleeve,
Yeah.
correct? But this isn't the Riker. This isn't the Kovac that slipped off to visit Miriam in the Riker sleeve.
Yes.
This is Tech Ninja Kovac that killed Raylene.
Mm-hmm.
He ended up winning rock, paper, scissors, though he suspects maybe the other Kovac like threw the last hand. Like gave up and is gonna get wiped out, and the one survives. They don't do the mind meld.
Yeah.
The
Just
the
she
Vulcan
just, like,
mind meld. They don't go for that.
They just zap it out.
Yeah, the other Kovash just gets deleted.
And then
but
there's some
Tech
memories.
Ninja Kovash gets put into
So it doesn't
Riker's
have the
sleeve again.
Miriam memories.
Nope, and she's like so shocked
She's like,
and
"Oh."
insulted, like,
Rude.
how could you?
That was
I'm so
glorious,
amazing.
good stuff. I gave you my drugs. You don't even care.
Goodbye. He's like, mid-meth
I
bitch. I
used
don't need to
you.
remember you.
You don't even care that I used you. So it's like, okay, and you owe the Hendrix a few occupants because the Hendrix helped you out.
But the Kovash doesn't like turn her in. Did you catch why? Well, the Kovash that was at Super Sexy Multi-Sleeving Island asked him to kind of cover her.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, maybe that makes her feel a little bit better.
A little bit.
Probably would have been more fun just to see their
I guess
whole
that was pretty
empire like burn
good.
down.
Pretty delicious, so just do
I
me a
guess
favor.
she gets that little pass. She gets some info and
And then he's like,
that.
maybe you deserve to be married to this faithless malagist. Like,
they deserve each other.
you deserve each other. You guys are sick. Real sick.
That brings us to the epilogue.
But the rest of us don't deserve
The story is winding down. Here's the resolution.
you. Yep. So
Kovac made
Irene-
some money from his whole
Yeah.
thing and spent a little money.
Did he get that from Bancroft? Is
I think
that
it's
the
I
idea?
think that was the
Bancroft's
pay
like,
from
all
Bancroft.
right, because Bancroft is like, oh, I have to, and Miriam's like, you were suffering, you made my husband suffer. Think about what he did to that girl.
Yeah. Or didn't, because it wasn't him.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Or
that copy of him,
maybe
nor was
could
it that
have.
body of his.
Maybe he had bad
that did it.
thoughts. Yeah.
He had lots of bad thoughts. He's always wanting to beat up and kill
Hurt
his
women.
wife.
Kill his wife.
Women
not
that
his
look
wife.
like his wife.
Yeah.
It's also a little weird that that's like the thing that he decided was too
don't
bad
know.
to do, because he's just been doing bad things.
And why
Elizabeth
didn't he
Elliot
just actually just
got
kill
killed
his...
because of him, but not directly by him.
Yeah.
She was, leaning on him, trying to blackmail him and all that. But
And why didn't he just actually kill his wife? They could have just had a little fun there, because she has more sleeves than most of these chicks that he's killing.
yeah,
And-
well,
but
I
guess
just
she would
I
have
don't
to have
think
some
she would be
psychological
into it.
surgery. Yeah,
I don't think that she would be into that. I think that's
that's what
probably
she
his
said.
issue.
Yeah.
Or the problem is, if she would be into it, then it wouldn't get him off.
Yeah, that's true. She needed to be real afraid. Ugh, he's sick. Anyways.
It's fucked up people.
So he is like helping Irene Kovach's.
Yeah,
And that's
he
so
gives her
sweet.
80K
She was
for
excited about 5, but he's like, no, I'm gonna give you 80. And she's like,
yeah, so they
"Oh
can
my
get.
goodness."
She already has her sleeve back
Yeah, she's in her cute little blonde
because of the
sleeve.
arrangement of earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not little. Talking about her being like a big boned, like athletic,
She's
probably like
that's
attractive
cute.
woman,
Yeah,
but not a little woman, not a cute woman.
cute.
Just like
We'll have to agree to
solid.
disagree on the cute.
I picture Valkyrie. I think
Valkyrie?
she's more like a Valkyrie. We're gonna find some Valkyrie pictures for you.
Anyway, I think she's
Safe
cute.
search off.
So, so he's like, I'm gonna be needle casting back to Harlan's world
Yeah.
because I ain't got nothing here. I don't want to be here.
I always think it's a little bit out of character for Kovac. It goes back and forth with a little bit of I don't exactly want to call it an honorable streak, but something noble, a noble streak to him.
Yeah.
But also then At other times,
Just
just
to-
like completely self-serving.
Yeah, he's like, I
So,
only kill for
I'm
personal
not
reasons.
totally sure why we needed him to give his
Irene.
cash away to Irene.
They kind of
Elliot,
explain
but-
that in the when the double sleeve talk. They're like, oh, so you wanted to help Irene out because you have these like dad issues and like you felt for these women that went through similar things.
The revenge I definitely get seems a consistent motivator for Kovac, but then I don't know. The opening scene was he was doing crimes for money.
Yeah,
This whole thing with Sarah.
he's a
He could
mystery
have
bag.
gone back
most
to Sarah with a little bit of cash in his pocket. I guess she was still like doing her sentence, but maybe he could get her out or something.
Yeah, so then he meets
I
with the lawyer of Bancrofts, and she's like,
Prescott.
you can never contact the Bancrofts again. Never again. And then he meets with Ortega. He says goodbye.
Riker seems like the inferior one between Kovac and Riker. Kovac is the more interesting, better guy.
But maybe that's what he
Destroyer of
found.
worlds. Instead of
The other
just,
guy was just kind of like a cop punk.
just a bad cop.
bad. Yeah. So he says goodbye. And then he's like, we gotta get to the next screen.
Yeah.
What was
I
it?
do. We don't have enough knuckles. A.
What are you doing?
This might even turn out backwards.
It's gonna be backwards. I don't know what he's doing.
All. We're not gonna. You can't see it at all.
There.
ACCAB. All cyberpunk cops are bad.
Bad.
That's it.
Cop. Bad to the bone.
So, hope you enjoyed that.
No, we had fun
Really-
with that book.
I had fun rereading it again.
I
Like it
really
was not in
liked
any way
it.
a slog.
It's
and
totally
it was
different than the
it's like
show.
third reread. I almost started watching the movie last night. We're gonna take a break from Richard K. Morgan.
I'm so happy.
There's
to
two
have
more
you,
books in the
Jenny.
series coming off this with Kovac. We're not gonna do those now. Maybe at a later date. Also, I have not read Richard K. Morgan's Sword and Sorcery series yet. He does have, I think,
Ooh.
a trilogy in that genre. So I'm a little interested because I do enjoy the very visceral writing that we get to experience in Altered Carbon, Broken Angels, and the third one
haven't
sitting behind me too.
read nor
Woken
seen
Furies.
anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about
I
that.
don't think the show is even worth trying to correlate to the second two books
In
as
this
bad.
book, I
Jack of
haven't
Shadows.
seen either, and I'm excited.
Yeah,
I
got
haven't
you the copy of
read.
that one.
I haven't read it or listened, so I'm excited about that.
You're gonna enjoy it. It might also make you mad, but you're gonna read it anyway. Yep.
See how it is.
So,
Well.
if I had to go in and write
I
some,
can read through my anger.
read through your anger.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But if I had to go write some like fiction or a sequel for like a Roger Zelazny novel, especially a standalone novel, I have like Jack of Shadows. That would be cool. Something could be done there. Also, I have the whole thing about the shit Wizards of Amber in mind, which
Wizards of
may be
Amber.
I'd have to explain. But you'd have to know what Amber was first, probably. But if you're living in a castle in a sword and sorcery world,
Yes, I want to live in a castle.
what And you understand that there's also a concept of indoor plumbing, and you have magicians that can do wonderful things. But magical
With
indoor
Lucy.
plumbing, the plumbers would be shit wizards. And that would be the
So,
fan
is this
fiction.
book
If I
kinda
had
funny? Am I gonna have fun?
to, you're gonna have fun. You're gonna
I'm
enjoy
just gonna
it,
be mad.
and
Okay,
it's a nice Halloween one too. So, overall concept. We're actually gonna try not to give you any spoilers right now because I want you to go read the
Okay,
book. But
no
once we start
spoilers.
discussing it, then there's gonna be all the spoilers
Okay,
because this is a spoilers book club.
that's right.
So, Jack is a character in a world.
Mm-hmm.
The planet does not rotate. One side is always day and one side is always night. There's a little bit of a band in between they call Twilight.
Ooh.
In the side that is always night, magic rules. And on the side that's always day, like science and technology dominate.
Is Twilight
That
balanced?
is the setting. Twilight is the transition. So you have certain people live on one side and certain people live on the other.
Ooh.
And there's only a little
Fun.
crossover sometimes in Twilight, but largely it's like the sides do not intermix.
Okay.
And this copy is only 142 pages. We're probably going to hit this in, probably split it up into at least 3 episodes, but I will release the plan soon. So just start reading
Hey.
and then we'll discuss it. It'll be fun.
And all the things.
You'll thank me
Yay,
for your
thank you
introduction
for
to Roger
coming.
Zelazny if you do not already know him. Thanks so much for being here. I enjoyed this. I hope this helped you enjoy the books even more than just reading them straight through, or maybe prompted you to read something that maybe you wouldn't read, or read it all, or even listen to the audiobook. I don't care. But this is fun. We'll get some announcements out. Jack of Shadows. Grab your paper copy, your e-copy, your Audible copy, whatever you need to do. And we'll see you for the first installment